Means that Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States.
Don't wanna be an American idiot.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the American Idiot Show with a diverse panel covering all sides of the political spectrum. We take a look at the most divisive headlines in our country. It's the American Idiot Show, and it begins right now.
Change out tomorrow. We're not the ones who meant to follow. So that's enough to argue.
What's up, everybody? It's Michael Carnahan coming at you live. Money Mike, I guess I should say. Code names. But coming at you live with another episode of the American Idiots. We got a fantastic lineup of topics tonight, even though one of our co-hosts doesn't think so. We have a fantastic lineup of topics here tonight. But getting started last night, the Super Bowl happened. So we're going to bring these guys in and talk about the Super Bowl and what they thought of the game, the halftime show, the commercials. I'll just give my rundown. I thought the game was great. We found out that Tom Brady is who the fuck we thought he was. Found out that, Patrick Mahomes can run a lot and not do a lot of shit, not accomplish shit to begin with. And the weekend, honestly, 5 out of 10 at best. And the commercials just sucked, in my opinion. But we'll go ahead and bring on the Manic Hispanic. Manny Hispanic, did you watch the Super Bowl last night?
I did. Against protests from my wife, I did put it on. We did watch it.
What did you think of the game?
The Chiefs were defeated by pressure and penalties. The two P's, man. Pressure and penalties really killed them.
I'll say this much, and this kind of goes into my American Idiot of the Week, actually, this week. But Tyrann Mathieu, when Tyrann threw that hissy fit, I literally said out loud, I said, okay, they lost. There's no way.
Right. See, and for me, it was it's Andy Reid, which, keep that name in mind when we get to the end of the show. They made it very clear that they were going to double up on the receivers. Mm-hmm. You had 4 men covering 2 receivers, and you just kept doing the same freaking thing.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, that means you've got 2 people that are open somewhere. Freaking find them. Use them.
And that's not to take anything away from what the excellent freaking game plan that Bruce Arians put together with the Buccaneers, because by the time he saw those 2 receivers... I'm
not trying to kill that at all, but it really seemed like a freaking Nintendo game. All you got to do is get the person over there in the corner and just keep doing the same freaking thing.
Honestly, all they had to do was run a couple screens. And with that, we'll bring in Black Sheep to join the discussion as well. I mean, I completely agree with Manny, though. Andy Reid came up with a special game plan, to say the least, last night, because Tony Romo spent 2 hours of pregame talking about, if I'm the Buccaneers, I'm going to cover Kelsey, and I'm going to cover, what's his name? 10. I forget his name, but the cheetah guy. He said, I'm going to cover those 2 guys with 4 dudes. And what did Tampa Bay do? They brought pressure, and they covered those guys.
You also have to remember that front line, we're all secondaries, and the pocket kept collapsing around Mahomes time and time. He was sacked 3 times, something like that.
At least.
Yeah, between that and when were they actually allowed to come to Tampa? I mean, it was like, 2 days before the Super Bowl?
Something like that, yeah. Because of COVID, it wasn't a normal. Yeah. It wasn't a normal build-up.
So they didn't have a lot of time to get acclimated from the jet lag and all of that.
Right.
So, I mean, small things like that, but still, I'm going to point my finger at the fact that you don't change your game plan when you see what you're doing isn't working.
Well, and
Right.
you know, I was texting Sean last night, and I don't know if you picked up on this, but I said, you know, before even the Tyrann Mathieu situation, I said they're playing scared because that's literally even Pat Mahomes looked rattled early on in that game. And like I said, when Tyrann Mathieu threw that hissy fit and Tom Brady didn't back the fuck down, that's when I knew they were beat. Sean, you kind of shook your head when I said 4 out of 10 for the halftime performance. What'd you two think of the halftime?
Well, I would have gave it a 0 out of 10. That was one of the worst halftime shows I ever saw. I hated it. The sound was terrible. Now some of the things about it were interesting when he was inside the cube and going around, because a lot of people were complaining they were getting motion sick. That's kind of cool. But you just, I don't know, the sound, his performance, it just wasn't. I'm going to forget about this in like 3 days, and I'll never think about it again.
Completely agree. The only cool part was when he actually got on the field with all the
take it in
people.
there and
That
play with
was kind of cool. But other than that, I thought it was pretty forgettable. Another thing I want to bring up before we get into our topics here, the people that are bashing Pat Mahomes saying he got exposed last night and he's not as great as people say, bro, calm yourself. Give him till next year because Pat Mahomes will be back in the Super Bowl next year. He's a great quarterback. He just,
I mean, all the people talking shit about him. I mean, he won the Super Bowl last year. Yeah, his front line collapsed the entire game, and he wasn't able to do anything. I mean, Tampa Bay had their number. That's all there was to it. And you're playing Tom Brady,
exactly.
who's been there 10 times before. And
even at that, I mean, even Kansas City's defense got to Brady once.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't so much the defense, although I'm pretty sure they were freaking tired.
Well, I mean, that first quarter was interesting. I thought it was going to be a good game until that second score. When Gronk got that second touchdown, I was like, "This is over." I mean, they're just kicking field goals, and they're over here scoring on this side. Yeah.
Of course, I don't want to get too far into it, but what did you make of it, Sean, when Tyrann and Brady kind of got into it? Because we've never seen Brady really do that either. We've never seen Brady jaw back.
I don't know. I mean, they didn't. They obviously didn't have mic'd up. If they did,
oh my God, I want that audio. If they did,
they're not going to release that audio because dude said he used a slur at him.
He didn't say that. He insinuated, and that's
he insinuated that
American idiot.
He insinuated because he said that I'm not going to repeat what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have called him anything. Maybe he didn't call him anything. Maybe he misheard the guy. I don't know. He was clearly frustrated, and I mean, there was a lot of shit going on. I mean, they were being taunted by some of the players. The whole.
Oh, that was beautiful, though. If you know the backstory, that Tyreek Hill deserved that shit.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I get it. Yeah, but it is. It's kind of like what my wife was telling one of my sons last night. It's bad sportsmanship to rub it in.
Well, yeah.
You just don't do that, especially when they're getting beat that bad. You almost feel bad for the other side at that point.
Oh, yeah, and, you don't feel bad for anybody more so than Pat Mahomes. I mean, that dude, they said they calculated it somewhere, I think in Vegas. He ran 500 yards last night and accomplished not shit.
Yeah.
He ran the length of 5 football fields and didn't score a single touchdown. And some people were saying the streaker that showed up on the field got more yardage than the Kansas City Chiefs.
He probably did. Okay, y'all. Enough Super Bowl football.
I thought that was you there when I saw that, though. I was like, oh, shit, Mike's at the game. Look at that.
Hey, I've been known to rock the neon pink bodysuit with the thong in the back, Don't judge.
Oh, he just recognized your cheeks is all.
Okay, so this topic that we got coming up first here, Black History Month. We kind of got into the debate a little bit in the chat room, but we actually have a civil rights attorney, a video from a civil rights attorney explaining what Black History Month means, or at least what it means to him. And this is from Rebel HQ.
It's February 2021, which means it's Black History Month, which also means that sooner than later, someone's going to have the not so bright idea of openly questioning whether there's still a need to celebrate the accomplishment of Black people in America through the annual tradition of Black History Month. Well, let's examine the question. Is there still a need for Black History Month? Now, previously, when people questioned whether there was a need for Black History Month, they would often cite ridiculous arguments in the way of reverse racism, which is not a thing, by the way, in terms of being able to argue against the need for it. Saying things like, well, if it was White History Month, wouldn't that be a little racist? Over time, we were able to expose this argument as specious as best because we understand that in a white normative society, the way history is already taught, there's no need to label it white history because that's the perspective that's already given from the outset. Now, as we're having the conversation about the need for Black history in 2021, and I can't believe that this is still a thing, it's important to remember two things. Number one is context. Number two is inclusion. Around context. If you're still having conversations around Black History Month that center George Washington Carver, slavery, Martin Luther King, Wilma Rudolph, and all the other firsts that occurred in the grand history of Black people in America, you're doing it wrong. Black History Month is not only a celebration and acknowledgement of the glorious history and achievements of Black people in America in the face of insurmountable odds, but it should also give you an important context around current achievements and distance traveled. You see, in 2021, if Black History Month wasn't relevant, we wouldn't be talking about Roz Brewer being one of the only Black female CEOs to ever lead a Fortune 500 company in 2021. But we are. And we are because it still matters. We know that even in a land that purports to offer freedom of access and equal opportunity to all of its people, that the outcomes of these opportunities are anything but that. So when you apply the context of distance traveled, you really begin to see that in terms of where Black people in America started and where we are presently, there's still a significant need for progress to be made and doors to be opened and access to be granted. The second piece that we have to acknowledge is inclusion. It was really sexy for many of us to talk about the notion of inclusion, the notion of diversity, multiculturalism, coming together in unity through the events of 2020. We had a tumultuous summer. There was a hotly contested presidential election that left polarized people on both sides. And now we're at a point where we want to move forward. Well, the problem with that is inclusion actually means that you have to acknowledge and celebrate and appreciate all of the cultures that are involved in making America what it is, not just majority culture. America does not get to celebrate the wonderful tapestry that it is in terms of it being a diverse nation comprised of many different races and ethnicities without acknowledging the significant trauma that has been caused to Black people as part of that huge melting pot. Black history is a critical part of what makes that work and a critical part of helping us to understand. So it's critical that in 2021 that we first put our history in context, not just celebrating the achievements of yesterday, but understanding where we are in relation to today. And number two, if we're really going to have a conversation about inclusion, be authentic about it and be real about it. And that's why Black history matters in 2021. Peace.
Okay, so the guy gave me a lot to think about. My argument has always been, why the hell do we have to just take February and teach Black history? Why don't we include Black history throughout our history curriculum? If there's something that happened, particularly important to Black history, then teach it in that part of the curriculum. Why do we have to focus 1 month to that specifically? That's been my only argument, is that you're kind of separating it in and of itself. But I think that, Black history is history. It's not Black history. It's the history of the world, and in a lot of cases, it's the most diverse and longest history of the world. If you go back and look at the cradle of civilization. So I don't understand the need to just teach Black history in February when you should really be teaching it from kindergarten on throughout the entire year. We'll start with you, Manny.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Once you start regulating everything to a specific point, then you're really just kind of I'm not sure how to put this. You're kind of like dangling it out there for everybody to see. Hey, look what we're doing. We're doing this good for you. And that's, it doesn't seem like it's really,
I can't agree. It's kind of a feel good situation. Like the white people are like, we gave you a month. Good job.
Yeah. So
True,
one of the
true.
things he said was, you need to include all cultures, which I agree with. But we had talked about the Morgan Freeman interview, where Morgan Freeman was even saying, I don't want a Black History Month. I don't want everything relegated to just 1 month.
Right. Sean?
And
sorry.
And one of the things that I was really thinking is we need to show dates, of for individuals that contributed to this country, regardless of Black, white, Hispanic, Mexican, Canadian, whatever. Whenever you get to teaching history, you need to teach actual history.
Agreed. And this
Not
is where Sean comes in and tells us
that
this is a perfect
makes the a certain person or a certain group look good. We need to teach actual history.
And he hit on something that I completely agree with. There is no need for White History Month because, let's be honest, he's completely right. All history is taught from the white person's perspective. I completely agree with what he said there. I don't think anybody on this panel will disagree. Manny, were you done? I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. Sean?
Black History Month was started because they weren't teaching Black history like they should. I'm glad they have Black History Month. I support it 100%. I mean, 29% of the population is African American, and 11 months out of the year are white. We pretty much ignore Mexican, American month, Asian American month, every other minority that's out there. There's a woman's month. There's a handicap month. But we don't really celebrate those. I mean, when I worked for the VA, they made it a point to actually promote those and tell everybody about all of those. And it's pretty much, like, you're going to do this. You're going to promote this. Okay, cool. I get it. We should.
Right.
But Black History Month is, to me, it's very special, for all my Black friends. It's their time and it's special. And, it's kind of a wonderful thing that, man, we get our own month because 11 months out of the year, it's whites. 90% everything on television for white people, because I hear the argument, why is there Black entertainment television? Because the rest of it's for white people, pretty much.
Very true, very true. Do you think what me and Manny were talking about, though, is kind of like we tell you, when you're talking about the communists or leftist society that you talk about, do you think it's kind of like, your option to tell us, well, Michael, that's kind of a perfect world. We should have that, but it'll never happen.
No, what you're saying is right. We should teach truthful history all year long. The problem is that we didn't for so long. That's why it's great to have a Black History Month, because we can play catch up for a while, and once everyone starts to actually get it, like, oh wow, it really is a part of our culture. It really is ingrained into our society. This rich, diverse cultural history. Then we can start, but unfortunately they don't. I mean, you got a fucking school in Utah right now that's wanting to erase Black History Month and not teach anything about Black history. That just came out on the news.
Well, I mean, hell, there was a representative here in Arkansas, and I forget his name. I don't think it was the dumbass that we all make fun of. I forget his name, too.
Not Rapper.
Yeah, Rapper. I don't think it was Rapper. But a couple years ago, wanted to recognize Robert E. Lee Day the same day as Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, no, we do. We do recognize Robert E. Lee on the same day. They were born on the same day. So in Arkansas, it's been a law here that it is also Robert E. Lee Day and Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. It's just an asshole move that they did.
Yeah.
If you love Robert E. Lee and you want to celebrate, his birth and his life, fuck, who cares? I don't give a fuck if you want to do that. But you want to make it a part of a national holiday? That's fucked up. That's That's just like Jim Crow laws. That's just like putting up the statues everywhere during the Jim Crow era.
I think that's a
So,
slap in the face, honestly. To
yeah,
me. I don't
yeah.
know how
I mean,
you
it's
feel,
it's
man.
it's just a dick move,
Yeah.
And I mean, he did it. That was a troll, I mean, that was before the internet. They passed that law. That was like trolling before the internet was a thing.
And my thoughts on that is you shouldn't put up a statue or recognize someone who turned on this country.
Right?
Thank
Period.
you.
No, I'm not even looking at the racial aspect of it.
Right.
The bottom line is these are people, the Confederates, these are people that decided, I don't want to be a part of your country anymore. We want to make our own country.
Right.
Right.
And
We should be celebrating them or their thoughts.
We should be calling them exactly what they are. And, Sean is the first person I ever met that, had the balls to do it. But he's right when he says it. They're traitors. That's what they were.
But here's the problem with that. After the Civil War, Congress got together and they said, oh, well, we're not going to call them traitors. We're going to call them veterans of the Civil War, and we're going to give them the same honors that we give the Union. And they were trying to reconcile, the schism between the North and the South. And I get why they tried to do it. It was a mistake to do it to begin with. I mean, it was a fucking mistake. And just like all the white supremacists that try to tell black people to get over slavery, which lasted for 400 goddamn years here, plus years. The Civil War lasted
slaves too.
Yeah, I hear that. Let me clarify that real quick. If you're an indentured servant, you still have rights.
I know.
Your children don't get taken away. You can still own property. There's a big difference between it.
You're still considered a person.
Right. And when you're a slave, you're just a piece of property. They can do whatever you want. And watch Django Unchained. There's a prime example of what happens to D'Artagnan if you love that movie, or if you've never seen it, please do, because it shows you exactly what used to happen to slaves. It's a great movie. That's a terrible scene in the movie.
While bad things did happen to slaves in the United States, I mean, if you look at over in Africa, things were worse for their slaves. I mean, they were castrated so that they couldn't even have children anymore. They had no chance of their lineage going any further.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that they had it any better over here, but yeah, I see your point too. It was kind of shitty on both locations.
I would just say, in any society, whether, no matter where it is, that, advocated slavery of any kind was wrong.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Sean, real quick before we move on, though, I wanted to get your opinion on what me and Manny talked about right before when he was giving his point. Do you think Black History Month is kind of a way white people can kind of pat themselves on the back like, we gave you a month?
Is it a Stewart moment? Look what I did.
Right.
I don't want to think so. I really don't want to think that, because it has been a part of my life all my entire life. It is a part of American culture. Right. Now, when they first started it, maybe people felt that way, like, oh, here you go, I did something good for Black society. But right. I mean, it is a part of society now, all of our society. So as long as it keeps going, yeah, man, it's a good thing.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, gentlemen. Well, we will go ahead and move on. We had quite the debate in the group chat over this one, because I think a lot of it was misunderstood. But Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia was removed from all committee assignments. The House of Representatives voted to do that last week. And we actually have a story from NBC News where they interviewed some of her constituents, and they gave their opinion on it.
With Congresswoman Greene's committee assignments on the line, what do her constituents back home in Georgia think? Take a listen to some of them.
I voted for her in the primary because I did not like the other candidates, and she looked like the best option. And now I'm like, what in the world was I thinking?
She fights for the people of this district, Washington's corrupt, as we've seen in the last 4 years, all the corruption.
These videos she has made are not in anything that I would ever think about doing or wanting my congressperson to do. She's a disgrace to our district.
She's honest. She's to the point. A lot of people disagree with what she's saying, but she's saying what she believes is right, and she's sticking to her story.
I don't support people who are, what do you call it, conspiracy theories? Yeah.
Theorist. Right.
Yeah.
And just based on her comments and what she's been talking about, I don't think that she supports and defends the Constitution of our country.
Right.
You know, I disagree, with her. I think a lot of these, on both sides of the aisle, I think a lot of the, especially new candidates, I think they run. I don't think they want to legislate. I think they just want to be on the news.
She's just like crazy and a kook. I mean, who thinks that we need to kill people that are the members of Congress? And, just her ideology is just crazy. I mean, normal people don't think like that. I don't think like that.
It's her freedom of speech if she wants to say something crazy. She still got elected with 75% of this district.
This is taking it to a different level than before. I was not happy with what Republicans have been doing under Trump, but this is just not good.
Okay, so obviously they got the best and brightest of that district to talk, but no, the thing that surprised me was the younger gentleman of all people was supporting her. He said, how corrupt DC is and how she was speaking out against it and what have you. I think a lot of people misunderstand what happened here, though. She wasn't taken out of her seat. She still has a vote. She was removed from committees. I think that is something that needs to be talked about. If you are a person that is believed to be dangerous, if we can remove a president, we can remove you from a committee where you're making these large decisions on bills that are going to affect the entire country.
She hasn't been removed from voting on anything. She was just taken away from committees. Wow. Greene is, I don't want to say she's stupid.
Oh, she's crazy like a fox.
Well, I wouldn't say that either. I mean, she really does believe the things that she has perpetrated, I guess you could say, put out there. She was QAnon and, all the conspiracy theories. She didn't have any problem at all chasing down, a victim of a mass shooting and ridiculing him and, trying to demean him and everything for, he's out there trying to lobby congressmen to support gun legislation. It pissed her off because she is a Second Rights Amendment, homosexual, and she wants to make sure you can have whatever you want to defend yourself and all that bullshit. So, but watching the video and watching these people, except for the one lady who's all like, oh, she's crazy and all this and that. I mean, most of them, they don't care. They just didn't want a Democrat in there. They don't give a shit who gets in there as long as it's not a Democrat, because they believe that Democrats are part of a cabal of evil satanic communists that want to take over the country and turn it into, Cuba.
Now, Manny, I know you're not a fan of the oversight, bigger oversight of, decisions like this and stuff like, taking people's voices away, quote unquote. My question is, where do you fall on this? If somebody makes statements like she did, you obviously can't remove her from office, but do you agree taking her off these committees?
That's my biggest thing, because from what I saw, a lot of people were putting out that she liked comments that had been made. She reposted comments that had been made. So it wasn't necessarily things that she said. just things that she hit the like button on and things that she shared.
My question is this, though. If you hit the like button, and it may not be the same argument Sean had, but if you hit the like button or share something, doesn't that mean that you kind of share that viewpoint?
No, not necessarily, because there is some stuff that I see online that I think is funny as all get out.
True.
Let's just say, for an example,
and I will share it, but that doesn't mean that I want to be anything like that.
True,
well, let's just say, for an example, that Michael liked a pedophile group called NAMBLA. And that's all he did. He just liked it. Would you want someone like that to watch your kids just like I would not want them to watch my kids?
No, but I'm not the one that voted for him.
But I'm just saying, when
But
people
if I
like,
did vote for him, I shouldn't have my vote taken away from me.
but when people like certain things, conspiracy theories, absolute lies, threatening other members of Congress, different things like that.
She didn't threaten another member of Congress. She liked a post that threatened a member of Congress.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. She liked a post that said that Nancy Pelosi should be executed for treason. Now, I don't advocate that type of violence for anybody. I think that's wrong. And people that advocate that type of violence on our members of Congress because they disagree with them ideologically, to have them murdered for treason, dude, that's an extremist view, right?
Now, Manny, one thing I want to ask you, though, because it doesn't seem like you think there is a difference. Do you believe that they have trampled on that district's vote to vote her in by just removing her from the committee assignments?
No, not necessarily just by moving her from the committee. I mean, I don't know what they do. I couldn't tell you what they do in the committees. I don't know how far they go. So her not being in there, I'm not sure how that affects anything.
So essentially, if you're familiar,
75% of this state selected her to be their representative.
If you're familiar with like the Senate Budget Committee or the House Oversight Committee, things like that, things that basically, so let's say you have the budget, for example. It has to go through the budgetary committees in the two chambers to go through. So essentially, that's what the committees do. I don't know what committee she was on that she was stripped from, but essentially, and I'm sure they probably weren't that important because I think she's a freshman representative.
Right.
So I'm sure she probably wasn't on anything major. But,
right. And that's another thing. A lot of this stuff was out and liked and shared before she was elected.
Right.
They've gone back and drudged it up. Hey, look at this, look at this, look at this. But my other question to that is, if I believe that 9/11 was orchestrated by our own government, how does that change what I'm going to do in a committee?
It's a good point.
If I believe QAnon,
because if someone believes in conspiracy theories that hold no basis in, fact, then how can you trust such a person to use any ability of reason to do the right thing when it comes to voting for, anything? I mean, we have people that are in Congress. I mean, Vice President, for example, Mike Pence, he thought the world was 6,000 years old. It clearly isn't, but yet we elect people that are that.
Did he actually say that he thought it was 6,000 years old?
He literally said on the floor of Congress, in the hall of, there in the Capitol, he believed that the world was 6,000 years old. He actually said this. Now, people like that should not be allowed to be in office because that is a ridiculous claim with no evidence based on.
Me and you are going to disagree there, Sean, as far as that goes. I don't think anybody that is outside of that district should make that determination because the people in that district made that vote. But to remove her from a committee, I have no problem with. To remove her from office, though, is like silencing that whole district, in my opinion.
Okay.
Or at least 75% of that district, I should say.
And unfortunately, the voters do have the power to recall her, which
Absolutely.
they should do, because she's clearly, she suffers from delusions of grandeur, and maybe the entire state does. I don't know, but I know I never want to go there.
Well, I mean, it's definitely Georgia, so solid
Well, that's
South.
your speculation, and that's your opinion. I mean,
I would agree.
basically, what it gets down to is, the talking on Pence, is your view of Christianity and his view.
Right.
My view of Christianity is a little bit different.
I'm talking about scientific fact, though. Okay, we know it is a scientific fact. It's been proven with empirical evidence that the Earth is older than 6,000 years old. We
now,
know.
one thing I will say, and I'm glad you did point out that he did, and if you could get me a quote and actually so I can see it, I would appreciate it. But just because somebody's a Christian don't necessarily mean that I believe in Jesus. I'm a Christian, but I also believe in evolution. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but I never mentioned his religion. I just said here's a man who stood in the halls of Congress and said he believed that the world was 6,000 years old.
Right, and that's why I asked, did he actually say that, or was he just trying, or was you putting that together
And
because
I'm not,
you know that he believes in the Bible?
He actually said that.
Once again, I'm not saying that he didn't say that because we're talking about Pence here, but I would still like to see it.
I know many Christians and other people of faith that believe the world is its actual age. So I don't have problems with people being religious at all. What I have a problem is when people make extreme points of view with no facts. I don't like that. That is wrong. That should never happen.
Right. Absolutely.
We shouldn't base our society on such foolishness.
I think if you slap something that's been proven in the face, then
I need to back up my 9/11 claims.
Do what?
I would say that
back up my 9/11 claims.
I think I'm the only one here that doesn't believe that the government had something to do with 9/11.
I don't think the government had anything to do with it. I don't.
Oh, I thought you did. I thought we've had this debate before. No. Okay. Well, trust me, you're amongst friends in one of our group chats because I know Brad definitely believes it. Well, me and him have had numerous hours-long debates over this.
Is it possible? Sure. Is it possible? No.
If our government didn't have something to do with it, then who was it? Who faked it up?
Some hijackers from Syria.
You would literally have to have thousands of people on board doing that with no one saying a word about it at all in the past 20 years. It didn't happen that way.
I mean, once again, we talk about human nature with communism. Human nature with the secret is even fucking worse because somebody's gonna get drunk and be like, "Hey, by the way, guess what the fuck we did?
Guess how I bought this boat."
Well, I look at the Pennsylvania area, and I look at the Pentagon. The lack of any evidence of aircraft actually hitting them.
I'm not going to deny that it's weird that there are some definite things that are questionable. Okay, I definitely see that, and our government failed to explain it 100%. They should have. There's a lot of mistakes that the 9/11 Commission made. Yeah. There's a lot of things that happened right after 9/11, or I should say that were allowed to happen after 9/11 that are very questionable as well.
Right.
Now, you can take all these questionable things, and then you can take some circumstantial evidence and create a conspiracy theory, and that doesn't build a case, that would up in a court of law. So,
well, I'm just saying, you look at, Kobe's accident and the wreckage that was there. You look at, who was that Southern band? Sweet Home Alabama.
Leonard Skinner.
You look at their accident and the wreckage that was there.
Right.
So for a plane that was so much bigger to leave no evidence.
But you can also say that a plane traveling at that speed, usually when a plane crashes, it's run out of fuel. It has, it hasn't crashed at such a speed of impact. I don't know how many planes have crashed at that level of speed that velocity, the way it came down.
Right.
I just don't know. I have not seen enough evidence to actually support, that
There's
argument.
a lot of unknowns with that,
Correct.
and that would
And
actually be something.
those are a few of the things that go into my thinking of it. It had to be manufactured. It wasn't, just hijacked and did something.
And
you know what? We may have to do a special
show
episode
about
of
that.
American
We should do an
Idiots on
American
this.
Idiots conspiracy show.
We may have to do it. We may have to do a special episode with the three of us because I remember we did one with Duck, and Duck, we all three ended up being like, yeah, the government had nothing to do with it. It'd be fun to do it with somebody we know is going to debate us on this.
I mean, we could get all sorts. We could get Brad on here, and he could talk about loose change and all the videos that came out. That would be very interesting. I like stuff like that. I mean, we've tried behind the curtain shenanigans, different shows like that, where we would do stuff. But maybe we just need to do a special show, maybe every other week, and we'll talk about conspiracies. We can do JFK one month. We can do 9/11. We can do all sorts of things.
JFK was killed by one man, Lee Harvey Oswald.
Actually, it was a Sasquatch that attacked the president in the United States. That's what happened.
Was it the Jack Link's beef jerky Sasquatch?
No, it was the Big Bay Tie out of Arkansas. From Falk, Arkansas. Yes, that's what happened. The legend of Boggy Creek killed the president.
It was George Bush. Thank you.
Wait, which one? Dub or H-Dub?
Dub.
Oh, Dub did it. Okay, Now, to be fair, I've never heard that Dub did it. I've heard H-Dub.
In his mind, I'm telling you, Michael's mind right now, he just went, unacceptable!
Oh, no, it absolutely did. Dub is the man. Y'all leave Dub alone.
No, it was Herbert.
Yeah, I was about to say, the one that Brad's always told me as far as that goes is that H-Dub was part of the CIA and he had something to do with it. We'll have to go into some of this sometime.
That'd be
fun.
But
anyway, this next one, Biden signs executive order on family separation and asylum. We actually have a story from ABC 7 on this.
Today I'm going to sign a few executive orders.
President Joe Biden taking a stand against former President Trump's hardline immigration policies. The first order he signed today to try and get children who were separated from their parents at the border reunited with their families.
With the first action today, we're going to work to undo the moral and national shame of the previous administration that literally, not figuratively, ripped children from the arms of their families, their mothers and fathers at the border.
He also signed two other executive orders on immigration, one to examine why people are seeking refuge in America and develop a strategy to handle those asylum seekers, the other to review the Trump administration's Migrant Protection Protocols program. This brings the total to 9 executive orders signed by Mr. Biden just on immigration.
There's a lot of talk, with good reason, about the number of executive orders that I have signed. I'm not making new law. I'm eliminating bad policy.
But even with the swift action by the Biden administration mere days after inauguration, USC Associate Professor Nathan Pearl Rosenthal says it will take time to see significant changes.
I'm sure President Biden would love to wave a magic wand and reunite these children with their parents. But honestly, at this point, many of those children, we don't even know where they are. We don't know where their parents are. Biden is trying to move things in the right direction, but these executive orders are limited instruments.
All of this coming moments after the new head of the Department of Homeland Security was confirmed by the Senate. Alejandro Mayorkas now tasked with completely readjusting the department's tactics and goals.
And according to the ACLU, the parents of about 600 children who were separated at the border still have not been found.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
Okay, so with this being said, I agree with a lot of what's going on here. Number one, the big issue you're going to have is, do these kids even know where their parents are? And that's unfortunate. Number two, we're talking about executive order again. I'm going to need something a little bit faster acting. These kids didn't choose to do the things that their parents did. Not saying that I think what their parents did are wrong or anything, so don't hate tweet me.
Hold up. What are you bleeding over on?
I don't know. I hear it too. Okay, I don't hear it anymore.
Hear what? What?
I heard myself.
He was getting feedback.
Okay. Anyway, so I agree with the USC professor. This is going to be a slow-moving process because once again, you're talking about kids that look like they're like 5 and so. Number two, I think we do need a fact-acting piece of legislation on this to get these kids, to find these kids' parents, to figure out what's going on, because these kids are the unfortunate repercussions of a law that, number one, I don't agree with, but number two, they didn't have any choice in breaking. These kids didn't wake up and say, "Let's go to America, Mama," and Mama was like, "Okay, let's go to America."
Wasn't this program?
Oh, is that what they sounded like?
Shut up, Manny.
Is that what they sounded like? Was that?
Shut up, Manny. Anyway,
wasn't this program started by President Obama?
Actually, I believe that there is a statement. I've never seen anything backing this up. It could be true. Once again, I don't know as far as that goes. I'll plead ignorant on that. But it's something that needs to be repaired immediately, and it needs to be fast acting. Manny,
is Biden going to come out and apologize to the the Mexican American community for doing this to their children?
Is who?
Biden.
Biden.
Yeah,
because he was part of the
this stuff
Obama
was
administration.
happening before Biden. This stuff was happening in the Obama administration.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said the Obama administration started this to begin with.
Right.
So Biden was the vice president. Why didn't he like kissing everybody's ass right now and going, "Hey, I'm really sorry that this happened," because they don't do that. Politicians never admit when they're wrong.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
Of the thousands of children that were separated, the majority of them have been reunited.
They have.
All right. They were saying what 600 were left that they're trying to figure out. Now, then you have to come with terms of different things possibly happening. Parent or parents have died, especially with the whole COVID thing. You don't know. The fact that some of those children may have not been with their parents whenever they came over.
Maybe I'm dumb. Explain that one a little bit more.
Child trafficking.
Oh,
you could really have some guys that may have been trying to sneak children in for, the Epsteins of the world.
Yeah, so for the democratic wall of Satanism that eats children.
So then, of course, I don't want to say that this is, going to be some grand fix-all, because we all know that the adoption programs here in this country are fucking abysmal. But shouldn't we then, as the U.S., take responsibility for those children if they have nowhere to go?
Couldn't hurt. I mean, but you need to go through all your options. You need to make sure that there is nobody over there. Because you got to think, these parents are doing one of two things. They're either trying to find their child so they can be reunited. They're just on the Mexican side or Honduras side or wherever they're coming from.
Right.
Or they're leaving their child there on purpose in hopes that it will have the life that they didn't have. So they're looking at several options. Possibility of death, possibility of traffickers, possibility of the parent wanting them to remain here, so they're not saying anything about it.
And I actually, that's a pretty good, of course, some people, when they first heard that, probably went, "How dare you leave your child?" But I mean, that's a hell of a selfless move to, see if you can make sure that your child, if you failed in your ultimate goal to get your whole family, at least make sure your child can live a better life in America. I can't knock that by any stretch of the imagination. That's a hell of a selfless move by a parent to do that. I'm not a parent, but that's the way I feel about it. Sean, what do you think? Like I said, I think we need fast-acting legislation to fix this, but
you can write pieces of paper all day long. That's not going to fix anything.
Well, I don't think this executive order does. I think this executive...
You can do a bill. You can do anything you want. Nothing's going to fix the issue. Not without a major fundamental shift in our society. We either accept people coming across borders and give them what they need, or we don't. Right now we don't do that. the majority of people here in this country don't want that to happen. They think it would be a free-for-all, which is wrong, but that's what they think. They think it would just be a free-for-all. I mean, what happened to the two carriers that were heading this way? You know, the day that Biden got elected, you don't hear about it anymore because it was made up bullshit. It's just like
when a family comes through and actually goes through a point of entry and go through the proper channels, they're not torn apart as a family. You got to remember, these are kids that were removed from people that were just crossing wherever they wanted to cross.
Well, what's a border really? It's an imaginary line. It's bullshit. You know.
No.
I mean, it's like
I'm sure North Korea and South Korea would disagree with you.
I would agree there.
A lot of South Koreans actually like North Korea now. If you look at the opinion polls that's going on over there, if you actually look at other, countries' news and stuff like that.
We've talked about polls before. Come on now.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, there are things out there that can contradict anything that you say.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, yeah, everything's going to play devil's advocate, and anybody can manipulate facts to make it look good for themselves.
Right.
But like I said, you mentioned that, it's just a piece of paper, but at the same time, it'll have a lot more impact than an executive order. I mean, at this point, I think Biden signing executive orders instead of saying, hey guys, here's what my agenda is, he's just signing an executive order to lay out his agenda.
Right. But, I mean, even if they pass laws in 2 years, those laws will be repealed and, never replaced.
Right. Nice play on words there, Sean. Nice play on words. Okay, so here comes the new stimulus. It looks like it's picking up steam. Actually, the newest one I saw today includes $3,000 per family with children. So this story from WCNC.
A busy week ahead for Congress. Live pictures right now over our nation's capital, where today Democrats begin work on the specifics of that new COVID relief bill. Meanwhile, the Senate's gearing up for former President Trump's second impeachment trial.
I'm Tracy Potts. We're following two big stories out of Washington this week. First, your stimulus check wrapped up in that big COVID relief bill. Democrats in the House now say they want a vote in 2 weeks, the week of February 22nd. So they're working out details, including what could be an extra payment. Democrats expected to roll out details today on up to $3,600 for parents, people with children under 18 years old, paid monthly from the IRS starting in July. The other big story, of course, is the Trump impeachment trial starting tomorrow. Still unknown whether they will call witnesses.
Okay, so two things in that, and we can kind of get into the second part of what you said there as far as the impeachment trial. They're going to try to speedily go through this thing, which, I mean, if you're going to do a fucking trial, I think that's absolutely stupid. But with that being said, let's start off with what we actually, have on the agenda here, the stimulus. $3,000 per family. Good God. But, I mean, I guess when you do the math, it makes sense. I think they said that'll equal out to $1,400 per person and then like $300 per child or something like that. So, I mean, it's not really out of the realm of what they've already said.
We've given trillions to corporations in bailouts. This is not going to break the bank. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's not going to bankrupt America. We gave trillions to corporations, and they never paid them back. In fact, those same corporations right now are over kissing China's ass, giving away that money we gave them in the bailout.
Speaking of which, going back to something we talked about earlier, I don't know if you saw that meme, but there's a meme that's floating around of Tom Brady, and it says he made $500,000 bonus for winning the Super Bowl, and that's about half of what he got from the U.S. government in a loan under the stimulus package. He got the loan for a business he's running or something. That's not good. Anyway, with that being said, I'm all for another stimulus. I don't see where getting it up to $2,000 a person, so another $1,400 per adult, $300 per child. Just do it, dude. It's common sense at this point.
Let's ask some fundamental questions real quick. Is the United States the richest nation on the planet? Yes or no?
Manny. I
Now, I'm
divert.
letting y'all get all
Honestly,
your
I don't
points
know.
out now because I've got a whole lot of points on this.
Oh shit. Okay. So my
you
question
guys-
is, I plead ignorance.
Okay, so
I would say we're one of.
the United States, because of its economy, because of what we do, we are considered the richest nation in the world. Okay?
Okay.
Our economy is the largest economy in the world.
Right.
We have nations that are half our size. Okay? We have other nations that are almost as big as us, Canada, Mexico, places like that, that are paying their citizens up to $3,000 a month. Okay? $3,000 a month. It's not breaking their economies. They're not falling apart. Everyone's okay. But we've given our citizens roughly $4,500 in the last year, and we expect them to live off of that?
So don't think I agree with this when I say this, but this is more of a devil's advocate statement. The voters in that area proceeded to put money in to where they could do that, whereas the voters in this country chose to focus on things like military, things like that, to put extra money into. So, can you really compare? To be fair, can you really compare?
Yes, I can. When we spend 20 times more than the next country below us in military spending, yeah, I can do that all day long.
But can't you make that argument that the people put those people in power and they knew what they were going to do, so the people want that much money in military?
Do average voters really know everything about the military budget? Or do they just vote because of ideology of things like pro-choice and religion?
So are you telling me we should take anybody who is undereducated on these issues, take their vote away?
I honestly believe there should be a type of civil test.
Oh God, I knew it was coming.
Yes, I do. I believe that there should be a type of civil test to see if you're competent enough to vote.
Hold
I
up.
really believe this.
The same guy who is against any sort of proof that you are who you say you are just added a test to prove that you can vote.
Yes.
Like, I'm confused if you're not seeing the problem here. Like, you want to lessen the restrictions, but then you want to add a big ass restriction.
No, because I would like to see people of reason make reasonable choices that are the best for the betterment of everyone. Not just because they're pro-choice or pro-life or Democrat or Republican or any of that bullshit.
But then who decides what's reasonable and what isn't?
Themselves.
Do
You
what,
know?
Manny?
But then who decides what's reasonable and what isn't?
True. What's the passing score?
Who comes up with the test?
Yeah.
By using actual facts.
What's the passing score? Are we talking like a 70% or a 50? Or a 60, excuse me.
No, by using actual facts. Okay? We can determine what a fact is.
What's the passing score? Are we talking we want a 70% to show exceptional ability to comprehend?
People that wrote the
or do
history
we
book?
want a 60%?
People that are mentally incompetent not vote, right? I'm just widening that gap to people that really don't give a shit to even know what they're voting for.
So then my question also is, a lot of felons that you want to give voting rights back to are undereducated.
If they can get the education and pass the test, I'll help them. I would help anyone. I would help anyone to pass that test. I would take my personal time to be a tutor to help them pass that test.
Do you not understand where I'm confused here, though? Because, like, you want to ease the restrictions, but then you want to put a restriction on there. Like, I'm confused.
I want to put a restriction on people that really don't care.
How many people do you see that really don't care that actually vote?
Jesus, I couldn't possibly tell you that number.
I mean, I'm just saying there's 80 million people that really cared about Donald fucking Trump that voted.
How many?
Was it 80? It was either 70 or 80.
70.
It was 70. Yeah. Excuse me. There's 70 million people out there that voted for Donald Trump that I can guarantee you really fucking care.
Right. But I mean, we need to ask like really basic factual questions. Things like, how old is the Earth? And if somebody puts 6,000 years old, you probably shouldn't be voting.
That's like, though, and I promise I'm not trying to like laugh at you to be disrespectful or anything. I'm just literally like, that's going against religion. Like, some people believe the Bible to a T. I'm sorry, that's not going to be something that would be disqualifying for me.
Well, there is either absolute truth or there is not. Your choice. Is there or is there not absolute truth?
So if they don't believe in your absolute truth, they can't vote.
I'm saying a proven fact. Proven.
Manny, maybe I'm not getting why this is so shocking to me.
Things that were fact hundreds of years ago have been proven to be wrong.
That's true too.
Like what?
Oh heck, man, I ain't got time.
Back hundreds of years ago, they thought the damn Earth was flat.
Some people did, and we found out that it wasn't. But some people today still believe.
Back in the day, you would argue that
people shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Some people, but back in the day, you would argue that the people who didn't believe the Earth was flat shouldn't vote.
No, I would have fought to find out what it really is.
So then what? Okay, cool. I'm good.
Right.
Circles.
We're just talking in circles.
Circles.
I'm just confused. Okay. So I'm going to let you two go on this because I'm going to be honest. I'm ignorant on climate change and things like that. But we have
I don't get my say on the stimulus.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't realize we didn't go. I'm sorry. Sorry. Go ahead, Manny. I'm sorry.
Okay. My whole thinking is we don't need a stimulus.
Okay.
We don't need a stimulus at all. And we've all talked about this. What we need is to find out who needs help and make sure they get the help. I'm working. I don't need a stimulus.
Okay.
People that are in the unemployment line, they're the ones who need money. So we don't need to be doing a stimulus. We need to find out who needs help, and we need to help them.
Now, I don't remember which conversation whether it was with one of you guys or whether it was somebody at work or something, but I mentioned, I don't necessarily care how fast I get my money. I'd rather the people that, don't have a job get theirs. And they said something about, well, some of those people can't get unemployment, and I was like, damn good point. Where do we decide who exactly needs the help, where exactly they need the help? Like, where's the cutoff line for the help? Right now, I think Republicans have brought it down to $50K a year. I think that's high, honestly. I'm
just saying they need somewhere to go. Even if you have to make a new office or put something out at the unemployment office, saying, okay, this is for people that are not working due to COVID or due to what have you. Now, if we had actually closed the country down, then yes, pay everybody. But they didn't do that. It's too late to do that. So find the people that need help and make sure they get the help they need. The other part of that is you had $900 billion that went out in the last stimulus.
The $600 one? Yeah, that sounds about right.
And they're saying that there is a lot of places where they allocated money in different areas that they still have. They hadn't spent it. Not the people, but other departments.
Well, one thing though that one thing that I will agree with, I don't necessarily mind the idea of a more targeted stimulus.
Yes. That's what I was about to get into.
As much as I love the idea of
dollars went to things like unemployment assistance, small business loans, school and health. And as long as you're targeting stuff like that, yes, it makes sense. But when you just kind of throw money out there, here, this is the help, you're not doing anything. Especially whenever some of the government offices are hoarding what's coming to them, knowing that, they're going to make another stimulus and we can hoard that too.
That's a good point. I don't mind the idea of a more targeted
need this big package that our president is putting together.
I mean,
we need to figure out who needs help and make sure they get help.
I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I think up to 50,000, you get the full 12 or 1,400, and then it starts tapering off. I would say you should probably lower that to about 40, and then it starts tapering off. I like the idea of a more targeted stimulus in, you're actually getting the money where people need it. Once again, I think we've all agreed that we are working. We don't necessarily need the extra money. COVID hasn't really impacted us very much. I know, some of us a little bit more than others, but, Sean, what is your thoughts on a more targeted stimulus to the people that, desperately need the assistance rather than just myself, for example, getting another $1,400 to go below?
So I see what you're saying. If people don't want the stimulus, they should be able to opt out.
Touche.
I would say that if you don't want a stimulus, then you should be able to opt out. If you want,
it needs to go further than that, Sean. I
Why?
mean, just because some people don't need it and will take it just because it's there.
I mean,
So what's wrong with taking it and putting it in the bank for when you really do have a rainy day? There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's perfectly fine. If someone were to do that, I think that they are very intelligent.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I'm just not that
Right?
intelligent.
I mean, we praise capitalists all day long for hoarding wealth, for putting it in offshore accounts and never paying taxes, and they're brilliant. They're smart. They work the fucking system. What's the difference? If somebody else wants to work the system and put a little money away and save it for a rainy day, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, that's a part of capitalism. Yeah, it's the way it is. So I have absolutely no problem with it at all.
And I do. Difference of opinion.
If Donald Trump can do it, then anybody can do it. Yeah, fair is fair.
Touche. I don't know. I'm kind of on both sides of this. I like having $1,400 extra dollars to spend, but I also like the idea of being a little bit more fiscally responsible with it.
When it comes to government assistance, I don't think it should go out to people that don't need assistance.
Right.
I would give that option to opt out. If you feel that you really don't need it, then opt out. Don't take it. Okay? And if that's what you want to do, cool. 100%. Push the button. Go online, register, say, hey, I don't need this. Boom, hit that button. If you do take it and you put it in the bank and you save it for a rainy day, everybody has a rainy day, especially in America.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I disagree. You shouldn't take assistance if you don't need assistance.
And I think everybody needs it.
So,
like I said, just a difference of opinion.
Right. True. I think that's one that we're very
5,000 or more.
I think that's one that we're both like, we need to get assistance to the people that need it. Now, the people that don't necessarily need it, I think that's where we get into the sticking point.
But here's a question to ask too. I mean, what do you guys consider middle class in America? What pay scale is middle class in America?
I'd say probably up to 50.
Okay. How about you, Antonio?
I never thought about it, honestly.
The actual number in the United States is $75,000. If you are not making $75,000, you are close to poverty in this country because of things that can happen like
medical
bills, pandemics, different things like that. I mean, anybody can be wiped out with one medical bill. You're one medical bill away from bankruptcy, basically. Once you reach the level of $75,000 a year, then you can live comfortably and have a savings, and this is generally for a family of 4 or more. When you start having more, of course, you need to make a little more money. But, the average American out here, say in Arkansas, doesn't make 75,000.
Right, and that goes back to one of the things I was saying on a previous episode. I think that we should cap what people have to pay in rent. I saw today on Facebook Marketplace that a mobile home was being rented for $800 a month. That is crazy.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, let's be honest, the utility costs are freaking going to be enormous in that thing. Yeah.
Right.
That is ridiculous.
I can't fathom somebody having to pay $800 a month for a mobile home somewhere.
Then again, to be fair, when I lived in North Little Rock, we lived in a place, me and my roommates, I think it was all utilities paid, but it was a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was $830.
That's a house payment.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, right here where I am, full disclosure, I'm in a 2-bedroom and I'm paying $615 plus utilities.
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree. I think some sort of cap. One thing though that I will say about the stimulus is I think they need to add more teeth to the renters, the moratorium on evictions. I realize that some people are taking advantage of it. I do agree there. But with that being said, once again, I think we're still in a spot where we need to be not kicking people out on the fucking streets. I think that, hell, there's some sort of income verification. There's ways you can decide if these people are screwing you over or if they really just can't afford their rent, in my opinion. And I think that they need to add some teeth because here in Arkansas, where the laws are like the worst in the country for being pro landlord, people are still getting kicked out. And nothing's happening to people, unfortunately. But I think that definitely needs to be added into this new stimulus.
I was at that temporary job just the other day, and I heard a landlord talking about they can't pay. Oh, they lost their job? Fuck them. I don't give a fuck. Put their shit out on the street today. I was blown away. I was just like, really? Wow, that's some bullshit.
Those are the same people that, once again, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, and maybe it is a generalization, but those are probably the same people that are up there on Sunday morning fucking praising Jesus with the fucking best of them.
That I don't know, and I don't want to put, good people's, reputations down like that. I don't know that.
Right.
Well,
it was a generalization and bad Michael.
Right. Yeah, not everybody that believes in the religion is evil. I don't believe that.
I know that, having something, it's hard to just give it out.
I would agree there.
If I own a building, why should I just give it away?
Right.
Why should I let people just stay there for nothing?
Michael gives away the booty all the time. But that's different.
My question, though, Antonio, let's say you owned a piece of property in this current situation. Would you not even be willing to, be like, okay, like I said, there's some income verification you can figure out. Take their social security number and figure out.
That goes back to different people, though. It would depend on who it was. If it was somebody that was, even when they were working, had a hard time making payments, because they were irresponsible with what they were doing with their money, or if they were always seeming to either quit or get fired, something like that, I'm going to look at that case differently than somebody that was always there and always on time and never had an issue.
Well, and, on the opposite side of this, I'll be completely blunt and honest about this. These people that aren't paying their, utilities that, because they couldn't or because they just have the option not to, they're about to be in for a rude awakening because they didn't read the fine print that the utility companies are coming the day they can, and they want all 3 months of that up front. And, I mean, that's also fair to me, though.
I've also got children who, upon graduation, they were told, all right, you've got 4 years to get something going. If you are going to school, you can stay here at the house while you're going to school. But when you graduate, you got to figure it out.
I mean, I'll be honest.
If you're not going to go to school, rent is due the first of the month. And we will take that rent. We will put it in a savings account. And you've got until, I think, 22. You've got until 22. Once you hit 22, you need to have something figured out.
I'll be completely.
You will get all of that money back to help you get out there. So it wasn't like we're charging them rent and, just keeping it. We were putting it in a savings for them. I just wanted them to be used to.
Responsible.
that responsibility. Every month I've got to have that there.
I mean, I'll be completely honest, and this isn't me saying this to knock the person that I was living with at the time, but when I turned 18, I was told, from the time I was 14, what we're getting you for your 18th birthday, and I'd always say, what? We're changing the locks. And, it sounds harsh, but, first off, I did go in the military by the time I turned 19, and I did find a place to stay, but, it sounds harsh, but I look back on it, and I'm like, it sounds terrible to a kid to say that, but you learn quickly what the fuck you need to do. You don't have that safety net anymore. You take that safety net away and you learn quickly. And I can understand.
And that's why we did it that way, from the time you graduate till 22. That's 3 to 4 years.
Sean, you seem to be disagreeing with our sentiments here.
By that point, you should have a direction that you're going.
Sean said, I'm keeping all the babies at home as long as they want to stay.
Well, no, look, there is a point where you have to push them out to be independent. That's what, I mean, I'm working on that now, but I don't want to use the word threat, but I'm not trying to tell my kids, if you don't make it, you're out. I'm not going to do that, but I'm trying to teach my children, or I should say my wife and I are trying to teach our children to be independent now, to think for themselves, to be prepared. We're teaching them about life. We're teaching them about credit. We're teaching them about the things that no one taught us as children, the realities of what life really is. And we're also saving money. We're saving money to put them, ahead, to give them a nice head start and not just fuck off, fuck all like our parents did to us,
Right, exactly.
Anyway,
and I applaud you for doing
why
that
we
because
give them
that's
that
a hell
buffer.
of a fucking thing to start them that early.
Right.
That's why we give them that buffer and charge them a rent, even though they're going to get that money back.
Yeah, it
trains them. It trains them to learn. They're learning how the world works.
I get what you're saying. As far as that, that's something I just wouldn't do. I don't want to say that you're wrong, because I don't know if I'm right or not. But I wouldn't do that. That's just me.
Once again, I think both of you have
I can
valid.
tell you this much. I've had 2 that have moved out, and it's working.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 3 out.
They're not being evicted. There's no threat of eviction.
Right.
They've bought vehicles. They're paying their rent on time, apparently, because they're not being evicted.
Right.
I mean, I'll tell you this much though. Taking yours a step further, Sean. Take them to the grocery store and be like, hey, this is what because the first time I ever went grocery shopping, I bought a bunch of bullshit. I will never forget that.
Right. And we do have money, like they earn and different things. It's like Jack, there's certain things that he has to do to earn money. And if he doesn't, then I deduct that money. If he's supposed to have so much for a certain task, if he requires help, guess what? I just hired Dad for $5. You don't get the full amount. We teach him that there are consequences to those actions and different things like that. So when he goes to the store, yes, like most typical kids, he's like, oh, I want to buy all this bullshit. And I tell him before he does, it's bullshit. Don't buy it all. Wait until you really want something of value. Does he listen? No. But then he buys the bullshit and he's like, man, I really should have waited. Cool. Now you're thinking about it. Eventually that's going to sink in. It's just, I'm going about it in a different way.
No, I absolutely. I like both of your ways.
Yeah, Manny's way is a way that I've done, too. There's no exact right way.
Because eventually, I mean, and going back to Manny's way, eventually, any young adult is going to be like, fuck this, I'm on my own shit. Because, I'm sure Manny still has the same rules.
I mean, a lot of kids are moving out from their homes right now, which I don't understand. I moved out on my 18th birthday. I couldn't wait. I was gone. Never went back.
I was gone before my 18th birthday.
My wife
I would
was
come
too.
home to take a shower, and I'd be right the fuck back out.
Yeah, but some kids are staying at home and they don't want to go, and yeah, the parents do have to push them, and I get that, because the opportunities aren't there that were there when I was younger. You know, there are opportunities I didn't have that the generation before me had.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear some old boomer, yeah, I said it. When I hear some old boomer talk about, well, I worked 20 years for this company, I got a pension, and I got all this good shit, and I'm like, well, good for you, asshole. They don't have that kind of shit anymore. It doesn't exist because
You're
you
lucky if you
motherfuckers
get a
made.
watch nowadays.
No, but I tell them, you motherfuckers made right to work states, you destroyed unions, you did everything you could to fuck over the next generation because you didn't give a shit. That's why I don't like boomers. I hope you all get COVID, by the way.
God damn. Anyway, okay, so we kind of got off on that tangent there, but definitely want to applaud both of you because you guys are both doing some fucking amazing things. I like that you're teaching them about credit.
Right.
Manny, that's cool as shit that you're, like I said, eventually a young adult's going to be like, screw this, I don't want to deal with these rules. And that's when you can be like, here's your deposit money, here's everything.
Right.
Go find you a spot then.
And that was one of the reasons that we talked about putting it to the side. Because one of the things I saw early on was if you always help them out and always do it for them, all they learn is mom will take care of that. Dad will take care of that.
That's why I'm so glad
And they don't learn how to do anything.
That's why I'm so glad we did what, when I turned 18, that's why I was so glad that, what happened to me, is that it forced me to grow up, kind of like going through the military. They sat us down one night and they were like, do you think we don't give you guys phone calls back home to mommy and daddy because we're being mean? It's because we're teaching you independence. You can't always call mommy and daddy. And I was like,
I could go outside and change a tire in front of my child 20 times. That 21st time, if he gets a flat, guess what? He's going to call me first, even though I've showed him what to do. So at some point, you have to let them do it, even if it's kind of pushing them to do it.
Absolutely. Plus, let's be honest, anything's on YouTube nowadays. How to. Just search how to.
Right?
I mean, hell, we're on YouTube. They let anything on YouTube nowadays. Okay, so once again, I'm going to plead ignorance on this topic, but the polar vortex, I don't know much about climate change and things like that.
This ain't even climate change. This is just climate.
True, but I think it feeds into climate change. Do I think that there is, issues within our Earth and things like that have been caused by humans? Absolutely, But this story is from News 19 WLTX. It's a weatherman explaining what a polar vortex is.
To what's been going on, how this actual cold weather temperatures forms and moves across the planet affects the temperatures we feel in our communities all across the world. Well, meteorologist Alex Calameda explains the science behind the polar vortex.
The polar vortex is a current of air that spins in the Arctic and keeps cold air locked in place there. So it's funny because the stronger the polar vortex is, the less Arctic air we see here in the United States. And I'm going to explain this in my kitchen using a spoon to turn up this pot of water. The tortellini here, that's your cold air. When the water's spinning fast, the tortellini or the cold air stays in place. But the weaker that spin is, the more the tortellini or the cold air spreads out. So when you think polar vortex and you think strong is bad, you actually want a strong one if you don't want cold air. Unfortunately, that nor'easter that's been the topic of conversation this week is pushing northward, and that's going to help disrupt the polar vortex. So it splits, and now you have a piece of the polar vortex developing in eastern Canada, sending a wave of Arctic air down into the Midwest, the northern plains. Basically, the gates are open and cold air gets to move in, and this air is seriously cold. We're talking temperatures as low as 30 degrees below zero for Sunday morning in parts of Canada. Even parts of the northern U.S. could get in on that level of cold. And then that pushes farther southward, but it doesn't make it into the southeast. For Tuesday morning, model guidance is showing temperatures still in the 30s and 40s across South Carolina. So it could actually be rather mild because that cold air is staying mostly locked in place in the Midwest. Midwest. Now, if you fast forward to the end of next week, some of the model guidance is showing that a little bit of cold air will push into the southeast. But here's the thing. At that point, it is a bit more moderated, and the coldest temperatures stay over the Ohio River Valley, and that could change. But this is the time of the year that we need to watch for some of that winter cold. Snowflakes fell on Tuesday in places like Blythewood and Winsboro. No accumulations, but it was cold enough. Now, as far as February goes, that's your best opportunity for snow historically in Columbia. Snow does not happen very often. Only 6 out of 1,000 February days see an inch or more of snow in Columbia. But with an active pattern like this, never hurts to keep an eye out. I'm News 19 meteorologist Alex Calamia.
Okay, so you caught the tail end of that. Manny, I don't know if you can see all 3 of our videos down there, but oh my God, whenever I play a video, Shawnee's just hilarious.
Yeah, I can't. I don't see it. But I just wanted to know what's going on with that guy's hair.
Right?
Dude, if you're going bald, just take it off.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I mean, oh.
Hold on. Wait, am I good? Yeah, I'm still good.
You're still good.
You still got enough of a comb over. You're good. I started looking at that today. I had a hat on, and I pulled the hat off. And because of the way my hair was laying after the hat, it looked like I was thinning on the side. I'm like, oh my God.
As a matter of fact, here he is, Mr. Duck, coming on to join us. Got a special guest host tonight.
Our favorite Cylon.
Cylon, nice.
Uh-oh, we can't hear Duck, though. Ooh,
can't
hear Duck. Poor Duck has so much trouble with the microphones on this. This thing just screws with Duck's computer, I swear.
It does, yeah, every time.
But no, as far as this goes, man, it's cold. That's about all I know about it. I'll let you go ahead and start us off, Manny Hispanny.
All right. Well, like he was saying, as warm air gets up into the stratosphere, it kind of disrupts things and pushes the cooler air down to try to cool the earth. The only deal is this happens every couple of years.
Right.
So it's not like it's a big story, and that's one of the things that we as people that don't really buy into the climate change, that everything's going to dry out and all of that. That's one of the things that we point to is this is always happening. I went back and looked at some statistics. They're saying this is the coldest that it's been in 30 years. So 30 years ago, we were in the same spot. The hottest it's ever been in the United States was Death Valley. It was 134 degrees in 1913.
Yeah, but that's Death Valley.
In Arkansas, because I knew that was going to come up. In Arkansas, the hottest it's been is 120 degrees, and that was in 1936.
In
the
February?
coldest it's ever been. Do what?
In February? Like for this month, or are you just saying overall the hottest temperature?
The hottest ever was in
overall hottest ever in Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Was
like,
in,
holy shit.
Was August of 1936.
Okay.
The coldest it's ever been, and I forgot to write down the month.
That's fine. I just thought
it was negative 29 degrees in 1905.
Ooh.
So I mean, temperature has been fluctuating for years.
Right.
I would agree with what you're saying. I do agree that people.
I hope you agree with what I'm saying. It's in the record books, man.
Well, hold on.
I agree with what you're saying, that we have fluctuations within the climate and the atmosphere, different weather patterns, things like that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say what I was saying to you, Manny, was that I agree that people tend to, if we have something extreme happen, they tend to all automatically go climate change, climate change, climate change. And it's not always a climate change factor. Do I think that climate change is a factor in our world currently? Oh, yes, absolutely. I think that, all you have to do is look at these ice caps that are melting and things like that. It's there. But with that being said, not every fucking large tornado outbreak is because somebody threw out their McDonald's wrapper 10 years ago. Okay, I'm done. Go ahead.
No, I mean okay, so yeah, some people believe in the butterfly effect, but they misinterpret it. Okay, the butterfly effect as though a butterfly flaps its wings here in Arkansas and it causes a fucking hurricane in Indonesia a year later.
Nice butterfly.
Okay, it doesn't quite work like that. The chaos theory actually shows that minute changes do cause a pattern that we can see. That pattern looks like a butterfly. That's where it came from, the butterfly effect. It was misinterpreted when you watch that certain film.
Movies.
What I'm saying though, what I was saying earlier though, is I agree with Manny. We've had climate events. Climate change has been happening, but we haven't had the polar ice caps melting at a rate that they are now in the history of this planet that we know of, since we've been recording such things. So yeah, there are some extreme things happening because of industrialization. You know, the carbon that we're putting into the air is a lot more than ever was, and yeah, we're fucking up the planet. So extreme weather happens. Yeah, we get that. El Nino. What's the other one?
El Nino.
El Nino. Yeah, different things like that.
Yeah.
The vortexes. Yeah, that's going to happen. And yeah, we can look back in the past and see some different variances and things like that. But when people talk about global warming or climate change, they're talking about the polar caps melting, the raising of the levels of the oceans, different things like that. That's the danger that we're looking at. That's the critical thing that could bring extinction to our species as a whole.
But don't you agree, though, that some people who are probably a little bit more ignorant do tend to, as soon as something extreme happens, automatically it's, oh my God, it's climate change. And even on the opposite side, if it's cold in the middle of summer, somebody will be like, well, that just disproves climate change.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, it's like using the word amazing. If I see something that's amazing, wow, it better really be fucking amazing.
Yeah, your hair is amazing.
Right.
It is.
If somebody has a kid, that's not amazing. That's fucking I'm happy for you.
That's life.
It's amazing to you.
It's beautiful.
I'm very happy for you.
Beautiful.
But it's not amazing. If a lady has a baby in a car on her way and she's stuck in a traffic jam and the kid lives and there's no complications, that's kind of amazing.
It's pretty badass.
Things like that.
Would you call that a miracle?
No.
No,
I would just call it nature. Yeah.
I'm just fucking with you.
Yeah, I don't believe in that kind of shit. Yeah.
Oh, but no,
Well, that's one thing I will have to go back and look at, because that was one thing that I didn't get into was the ice caps and all of that as I was doing my research for this part of the story.
Right.
But no, I completely agree with the part where you said, people.
And here's a real simple way to understand the polar ice caps melting. Okay, if you take a cup of water that has ice in it, right? When that ice melts, the water level does not rise. Do you know why?
Does it not?
No, it doesn't.
No, that's what I'm saying. Does it not?
No, it does not. It won't, because that would defy the laws of physics.
It's already displaced.
It's already displaced, right. But when you have glaciers that actually fall off of continents into the water and melt, that raises levels. That's the difference.
It's like having ice. It's like having ice on the side of the sink and it melting into the sink.
Right.
That'll raise the level.
So what you're saying is when a big glacier the size of Texas falls off into the ocean, we're fucked.
Yes, that's what climate scientists have been talking about for many years. People never understood because they didn't really look into it.
Well,
but the other thing you have to look at is where did all that ice come from to begin with? So you have areas that used to be underwater that are now no longer underwater because of damming and stuff like that. But it has created some of this ice, in past years. When the Mississippi used to flow the other direction, I'm sure the ice caps were different than they are now.
Right.
So as that kind of stuff changes, then you have to look at does it just suck that we built on land that used to be underwater, but now is no longer underwater, and we're saying, oh my God, look at what's happening because these ice caps are melting?
I don't know necessarily that we could prevent the ice caps from melting. I think we speed it up.
Well, no, we can stop them from melting. If we were to really slow down industrialization, especially nations like ours and China, Mexico, for example, those are some of the big three right there that pollute the most. India's another. If we could get them to really, really calm that down, and we got more into ecological types of power and different things like that are better for the earth, we could reverse the damage.
I think we could slow it. I don't know that we could completely stop it, though.
Yes, we could stop it. Scientific evidence has shown we could actually stop it and reverse the damage if we wake the fuck up now.
I don't know that it's scientific evidence. I mean, it may be charged, and people are presuming if we do this, this will happen, which will do this.
Well, they just reject the damage that we've done by the amount that we've done. So if we take away that amount, then the damage should reverse itself by that much. You see what I'm saying? It should.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. It's a bunch of presumed.
Right. It's a hypothesis.
Well, I mean, hell, 10 years ago, I heard some that there was a theory floating around that we could do whatever the fuck we want because every lightning strike repairs the ozone layer and it offsets anything we do anyway. So, I mean, there's a new theory every fucking
And then you have people that say that the volcanic eruptions put out like 100 times more than what man puts out as far as destructive forces.
Right.
Now, I've heard that, but volcanic eruptions are extremely rare compared to the industrialization that we've actually put into the air.
Right.
Right. I absolutely have heard that part. Okay, so now that we're on to an agreement, oh my God, we somewhat came to an agreement. Russia executing a low pass and China issuing a red line warning. So we're going to get into the two topics, but one thing, though, when we watch this, and it's only like a 50-second clip of getting this maneuver, but one thing I want you guys to come back is the first thing I'm going to ask is this Russia and China playing chicken and seeing what they can get away with? And I'll ask you guys when we get back. So we'll start with you, Manny. The first thing, obviously, I think, dang it, I forget what we did last time to fix it for you, Duck. It may be in your microphone settings. It may be something simple, but
brought to you by VCAP.
I think we obviously all know that Russia's got a giant pair, and they're not afraid to show them off. I think that this is just posturing by Russia and China to say, hey, Biden, we're going to fucking beat you up and you're going to let us get away with it. And if Biden pushes back, they're going to chill the fuck out.
You're reading way too much into it.
This is one of the things also, to my knowledge, that was in the Black Sea. And Russia has always declared the Black Sea was theirs.
Right.
So that's always been a gray area as far as the U.S. saying, hey, we should be able to go there, and Russia saying, no, that's our land. That's our area.
Right.
So you don't think this is posturing?
No. I think that it's actually, this guy was flying next to this ship with his iPhone out, and he took a picture as a selfie.
Look at this shit.
That's all he fucking did. It's really that simple. I mean, the guy's just fucking off, having a good time. I mean, we celebrate that shit in our movies. I mean, look at Top Gun, you know? Negative, Maverick. The pattern is full.
True.
When I first introduced this story, which was like Monday, I was more waiting to see if anything came of it. It could have been posturing at the time that it first, came out. But the fact that nobody has done anything about it, our side or their side, leads me to believe more like what Sean is saying. It was just a pilot that happened to be out, and he was like, "Oh, check this out."
Right, and it very well could be. Now, Manny, I'm gonna let you kind of introduce the red line situation there with China as well.
You got a video?
I'm gonna have to step away for 2 seconds, so I will be right back while you introduce this part of the topic.
Well, basically, what it comes down to is the United States trying to keep the pressure on China for the way that they act towards other people. And China saying, no, I'm not going to let you do that anymore. Here's the line in the sand. You're not going to push us to do us, and you mind your own business.
Who are they pushing against?
The U.S.
No,
US
no, I mean
China?
China. Who is China mistreating?
What is it? Vietnam. I forget who it is. They're on like 2 or 3 different countries.
Are you talking about Taiwan?
Taiwan.
Okay. So we got Taiwan, the Philippines, and there's another westernized country that they're kind of pushing. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's because these used to be Chinese territories. See, China has this thing, just like Israel. Israel makes a claim to their holy land based on mythology, and they say, well, this is our land, and we have no issue with that because we are a superstitious people, and we say, yeah, okay, go ahead and kill the Palestinians and commit apartheid and do that. We say, but when China, who actually has a legitimate claim to a whole bunch of lands because they used to own them and wants to take them back, then all of a sudden we're like, oh, well, they have human rights violations and all this shit just because they happen to be a communist country. There's no difference between China and Israel when you look at the scale. Both of them are as equally fucked up as far as how they're treating other countries.
All I gotta
All right,
say
well,
is just because
all I'm
you
saying
speak
is-
Cylon doesn't mean you are Cylon. That's all I got to say.
We heard that.
I'm glad to see your microphone is working.
That's all I got to say.
I mean, it's still, you've got the European Union, you've got the UK, you've got United States, all telling China, well, you need to stick with these trade agreements, you need to change your human rights policies if you really want to be recognized. And China's basically saying, no, we're doing us. Y'all stay out of our business.
And I agree with China because China says, hey, United States, shut up. You let Israel do this. So, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, I agree. China's in the right here. China's absolutely right.
Whoa.
Even though these countries have come away from them.
Can I intervene with something?
Yes, sir.
We're not talking about the camps that they're running. You couldn't possibly say that that's right. They're right to...
No. We're talking about the human atrocities that China is committing against other countries and trying to defame them and hold them down and really fuck with their economies and stuff like that, just like Israel does to Palestine. And for the United States to call out China for what they don't to Israel, that's what I'm saying. China's in the right here because China's saying, hey, if you don't do it to Israel, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but what would China's excuse be if we all of a sudden started holding Israel accountable?
But they know we won't.
I'm not
they
saying
know we won't. They know we won't.
But I don't get why, because we don't do it with one country, makes them right to commit atrocities.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
I'm not saying it makes them right. I'm just saying that their point of view.
But you literally said the words that makes them right.
Yeah,
No,
you
I
kind of
said
did
that-
say you're the right in this place.
They're pointing out the hypocrisy makes them right.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, doesn't it also point out their own hypocrisy? Hey,
No.
just because we're committing these human rights violations, it's okay because you're allowing Israel to.
That's how it works.
I mean, that's my whole point is you got, Taiwan that has not been part of China for how long?
Palestine was never a part of Israel, but yet we hand it right over to them.
Well, when was it
Now,
ours to hand?
That situation was all going on before the United States was even a nation.
Yeah,
so was that shit in China.
When were we able to just hand it to them or not hand it to them?
I mean, we didn't necessarily hand anything to them.
That's my point. And why is Manny blending in with his background? He's like a predator thing going on. Something?
Over here. Over here.
Yeah. Want some candy? All right. Sorry. I'm distracted. The comic relief has come.
That was good, dude. I love that. Yeah.
I just said there's got a little predator thing going on there. But okay, that's right.
I've been saying that all night, Doug. I've been saying his color's looking off.
He really did.
Yeah,
He said it earlier tonight. Yeah.
No, you're gonna end up doing one of those things that my wife hates, and at night when she comes out of the bathroom and then she just sees my eyeballs smiling back at her. Woo! Scares that white woman to death. So I don't know if you're trying to pull off one of those scares, boy. Seriously.
He's trying to blend in.
Seriously. I gotta use the bathroom too at night, and I just go to the door and she open up the door and see eyeballs staring at her. She's too scared to even scream. Just so I don't know if he's trying to pull off one of those, but I'm just gonna let that pass and we'll move on to what was the question?
Manny, we love you.
Yes, man.
But I've got a hurt 4-year-old, so I'll be right back.
Okay. Absolutely.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Well, my whole thing is I see where the pretty boys, the black duck, I think it was, or not black duck. I'm the duck.
Black sheep.
Black sheep. Yeah, I see where he got his point. We could probably use a glass of shut the fuck up juice all through history, but the problem is we always think we are the cops of the entire world. So that's in my opinion. I just think that we have a real bad problem of sticking our nose in. I mean, even in my opinion, Vietnam. I mean, you could go on and on where we're trying to be the cops of the world. So I think if we're going to be the cops of the world, then we need to freaking be the cops of the world. I don't know if we want to be tapping China on the shoulder, though.
Yeah.
They're not what they used to be in case of picking fights. But I guess Trump sort of didn't seem to have that fear.
Yeah, Trump ain't scared of shit.
Yeah.
Trump's like the honey badger. He don't give a
You know
fuck.
what? And I hate Trump. Good night. I hope you feel better. Maybe dad
got
your
a boo-boo,
teeth so we
Manny?
can see your dad better.
Yeah, we got her a trampoline, and mom called her, and she came off the trampoline onto the tile floor, and I think she landed kind of hard, hurt her toe.
I would this is off subject, but I would highly suggest to get rid of the trampoline just because a pediatrician told my wife that the worst injuries that he ever saw in children, which are worse than car accident injuries, come from trampolines.
I actually heard the same. I swear to God, I heard the same thing.
I was about to say.
We won't let our kids even look at one.
I'm
Well, the fact
envisioning
that
one
she
of those
takes the
small
net
workout
off to
trampolines,
keep her inside the trampoline don't help.
Right.
True.
See, the thing is, Manny's old school. He's like, well, she just breaks her arm. I got some duct tape, and he's
Rub
old
some
school.
dirt in it.
Yeah, he's old school, man. He's like, oh, it's okay. Just,
It happens.
yeah.
Oh, we
Exactly.
needed this.
He's
We
trying to act like he
right
did
here.
that, but you know
That
he
right
walked.
I
You know he
know.
walked over there to his daughter, and he's like, "Oh, my poor
Oh, no.
baby.
Yeah.
Hey, daddy."
I said,
Yeah.
yeah. You got to make sure they're okay.
Yeah, but then again, I don't know. He's hardcore though. He's probably
I'll do that.
gave her a little, put some Vicks on it or something, and gave her a soda and said, you're going to be just fine.
Well, we all know.
Okay, I got to tell you the story.
Okay.
My kid, that's my daughter. When she fell right in front of me, and I'm talking those on a hard floor splat. I mean, you could hear the sound echo. And I thought to myself, I'm just an asshole. So I'm thinking, oh God, here we go. And I just snapped, and I'm like, did you break my floor? Did you break my floor? And my daughter stopped before she could stop crying. and start looking around and like, no, I don't think. Look around. Did you break my floor? And so my daughter's just looking. My poor, she forgets to start crying. She's looking around. No, I didn't break it. Okay, all right, that's good. You gotta be careful next time. And I just kind of let her walk away, and she didn't cry. She didn't cry. She was ready to, but she just kind of. She's too mortified, concerned that I broke her floor. But she broke mine. I mean.
So I've got a story about mine. My parent, when I was a little child, I was probably about 5 at the time. I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. And I was looking back. I think I was talking to her, as a matter of fact. And I turned around. And those poles that they have right in the middle of Walmart? Ooh. Bam! Right into one of those suckers. My mom just kept walking and looked behind her and said, "You ain't going to do that shit again, dumbass."
Oh, gotta love that.
Now that's old school. That's old school. I told you to come on. See what happens when you don't come on? Yeah.
My mom was awesomely old school. I used to get told that I was going to go into the garden section if I kept acting up where nobody could hear me scream.
Yeah, it all depends on the type of cry that I hear.
Yeah.
There's that cry that you can tell it kind of hurt. And you can be a little more rough with that one, but there's a cry that okay, they're really hurt.
Well, that's the story of my daughter. I knew I was going to get one of those, like, she's on fire kind of cries. I was like, oh, God. So I just totally psyched her out. Like, did you break my floor? She just she stopped. She stopped crying. She was trying to figure out if she broke the floor, and she stopped, and she forgot to keep crying. So it worked for me. Yeah.
You want to talk about, bad parent that I am. I took my daughter up in a 25-foot in our lift that I'm renting for our job.
Are we talking like a JLG?
Yeah. JLG towable boom lift. It's a 50-foot lift, and I only went up. I didn't actually extend it, so I was only halfway up. No harness, no nothing
to begin with.
You know what? Yeah. I tried to do the same shit, but my fuckers always tell on me. I'm like, Mom, I got to drive the car. And no, I told you not to say. Are you kidding? Are you shitting me right now?
Laughing. Are you my 4-year-old was laughing.
Yeah. They tell on me all the time, so I can't do that. They're a little fucking snitch on me.
Hold up. Now we got to get the Black Sheep's version. Sean, are you the parent that when your child starts crying, you're over there? Oh, it's okay, baby. Or are you like, what a dumbass?
It depends.
Don't lie.
No, it depends on the situation. If it's something that they did to be a dumbass, well, then I'm just like, oh yeah, you're a dumbass, But if they're seriously hurt, yeah, I'm gonna go there and hey, it's okay. I try to get them through that because, fucking that emotion thing. I'm not very good with it, but I'm learning. And I'm trying to be, a better parent that way. It's very difficult for me. I've had to read a lot of books about it. But if you actually, when they're really hurt, if you actually do pick them up and take care of them, it supposedly helps them. My parents didn't do that for me. That's why
exactly. My mom was very sensitive. She would stop. Why are you doing that? I'm like, what, Mom? That breathing in and out and in. Why are you breathing? God damn,
Exactly.
So, yeah, I had a real hard mom, so
yeah, I learned all my lessons from 80s sitcoms for growing up.
Oh, good lord!
There's some fucked up shit up there.
Oh yeah, no, but
everything can be solved in 30 minutes or less, though.
To me, it's hard to adjust. Like I once in a while, once in a blue moon, and spank my kid. And they get to spanking, and then they ask for a hug, and that messes me up because when my dad whipped my ass, I didn't want that fucker nowhere near me.
No.
Yes. But when they come asking with their hands out, like asking for a hug, I'm like, you want to hug me? I just whipped you. You want to touch? Are you sure? Whoa! I'm like, I can't get used to that. My dad had his hands out and wanted to hug me. I swear to God, I threw up on him if he ever tried. I remember disgusted when I got my butt whipped.
I remember anytime I knew I was going to get a whooping, especially from my grandfather. I learned this from my uncle, actually. I would go into the bedroom real quick and stuff pillows in my pants, and I'd walk out looking all disformed and shit. And, of course, my grandfather would be like, "Nuh-uh, motherfucker."
You know what? I swear to God, my dad let it slide because I'd be like that guy in The Simpsons. The goggles, they do nothing. Because I could still feel the blows. I mean, he just put some stank on. He'd wind up like it was a picture or something. Just tear ass up. I mean, and the belt would hit me twice, like it hit me and then wrap around my leg. Yeah, that pillow didn't do shit. So for you, yeah, but
and then my grandfather did the worst part. I swear this was worse than the ass whooping. Because I'd be there waiting, and all of a sudden he'd take his belt and he'd scrunch it up like this and then snap it.
Oh yeah,
really fast.
Just to fuck with your head, yeah. Snap. So all you want to do that? So you just snap. Oh my god, just kill me, man.
Sean's over here like, no wonder why y'all are all so fucked up.
Oh, you know what? I totally fucked up your show. We were talking about politics. And I went into ass weapons. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I went into the child abuse thing, and man, he's just blending into the fucking background and freaking me out. And being nothing but eyeballs. I'm cool.
Oh Lord! So before we move on back to our topics, any good ass whooping stories, Manny? Because I don't think Black Sheep got his ass whooped as a child.
No way.
Hey, are you kidding? Jesus, I was raised with my grandfather. That guy was like Indiana Jones with a belt. It sucked.
Really?
Child abuse. It was fucking horrible.
Done. I thought he was just pampered.
I know, right?
Wow. So when the pussy ass thing started happening,
I grew up very poor and was beat regularly by a very broke man. So yay.
Oh, well, I know about the poor thing. I embarrassed the shit out of my mom when it had show and tell. I didn't know. I brought roaches because I did show and tell. And mom was all mortified and shit. And I'm like, what? I got it from the show and tell from shit in your house. Why are you so pissed at me, Mom? Yeah, man. I got little jelly jar and I had some, caught some roaches and, hey, everybody. These are at my house. And Mom got all pissed off.
I stood in those lines to get that government cheese.
Oh, my government cheese was the shit. I mean, you had to have a
hefty get that big block of butter.
Yeah, exactly.
You melt that butter and put that on popcorn. That's some good shit.
And that brown box that had black letters that said cornflakes on it, boy. Right. With that powdered milk. Oh, that powdered milk was the worst. Oh, that powdered milk.
I don't know nothing. Powdered milk was nasty. I couldn't tell you about the butter because I was a kid. Kids didn't really do anything with butter. But yeah, that cheese and that peanut butter.
Oh, the peanut butter was too hard, man. Just break the bread all up.
I still got
too hard.
Butter up here.
You had to put it in the microwave or something, man. That shit was
no wonder why you guys were okay with MREs. They were an upgrade.
That was good food.
That shit was gourmet. MREs was gourmet. You'd be like,
came with a heater and everything.
It even had a tiny little Tabasco jar, tiny little. I mean, that thing was the shit. That was good eating. Yep. I used to love it with my dad because I wasn't in the military. My dad was in the Air Force, and he'd get a hold of them, and he'd bring those shit home, boy. Everybody be celebrating like we was going to McDonald's or something. MREs! Oh my god! MREs! Man, I kicked the shit out of my brother and steal his MRE for that. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Not gonna lie, them milkshakes were the shit.
Are you
I
kidding
remember
me?
we got in fights over the milkshakes.
Oh hell yeah! That shit was delicious, man. And put that stuff in I used to mix that stuff and put it in those little because we always had the mayonnaise jars or back when mayonnaise jars were glass and the jelly jars and all that. But you know what? That means a nice cold tall glass of sugar water. That was something that was like awesome for us. Sugar water and sugar toast. We didn't have money for cinnamon, so there was just sugar toast with that government butter. Oh, that was the meal, and then some nice fried bologna on the side. I'm sorry. See, I'm really getting ghetto.
I swear to God, I guess this is probably going to be the most pampered, spoiled statement I ever made. I never ate bologna. I hate bologna with a passion.
Are you fucking alien?
Nasty.
Why do they let you people, even on the internet,
what do you mean, you people?
You people, you non-bologna eating motherfuckers disgust me, sir. You disgust me.
I'm gonna be also. I'm also probably gonna be for this one.
The Hispanic didn't have bologna when he was.
Oh, they had bologna. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I hate bologna.
He had a choice. He had a choice of whether he could eat it or not.
That is crazy.
I'm gonna blow some more minds. I'm probably the only guy sitting on this panel right now that's never had Spam. I want to try it, but I've never had Spam.
I'm feeling faint right now. Okay, you never had Spam at all in your entire fucking life.
Swear. I've heard it's good though. Like I
My
really
grandmother
want to
used
try
to
it one
stink
day.
up my house with some fried spam and cabbage.
Stink up, Fripes, and cabbage. You guys are giving up gourmet shit. Oh my
Right?
God, man. I'll get that spam and get me some top ramen and fry that shit. Ooh.
Now see, I can get down on some
I can
ramen.
do the ramen.
I can
Not
get
the
down on some
spam.
ramen.
See,
Yeah,
and that's the crazy thing. I can do potted meat, but not spam.
Are they like? I've always heard that like potted meat and spam taste exactly the same.
No, they don't.
They don't.
You should talk to Tally about spam. It's a Hawaiian delicacy.
She's talked to me about it before. She swears she's going to make me some one of these days, but then COVID happened.
Right.
Okay, y'all. So we'll kind of get back to our topics here while we wait for Duck to get back. The Myanmar military coup. This is certainly a situation that has been developing over the past week, and we have a story on it from CNA about some protests developing. Okay, so I'll be the first to admit that I'm not the most understanding of what exactly happened here, but my timeline of events.
Hold on. Before we get into the serious stuff, was that not the craziest motorcade right there? All the motorcycles, all their little horns.
Okay, so the way my timeline that I understood it happened, the military general says he's not going to perform a coup, but he wants the leader removed. Then 24 hours later, they do the coup, and now they're having protests because the people are
Yeah,
like,
you got to rewind
right?
it back further than that, though, man. In freaking 1962 is when the military originally took control,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a military country up until like the 80s.
Okay.
After this lady had come, was it Suu Kyi? After she had come several times and tried to get people to recognize democracy and stuff like that, and really push for it. They kept putting her in house arrest to try to shut her up, and it didn't work. And instead of her telling the people, "Hey, we got to fight back," she kept a peaceful protest going on, and finally it opened up to where they said, okay, well, we'll do it a democratic way. In fact, she even won the Nobel Peace Prize.
So I mean, essentially, yeah, these people are protesting for good fucking reason. They removed a woman that was a hell of a fucking leader, and damn.
And the problem is that the party that she created, once they did get into a type of power, then you started seeing other things happening that she kind of bought into. And now people have kind of labeled her as going back on what she originally preached.
Ooh, damn. Okay.
So there are a group of people that she doesn't recognize as citizens, and they were being, as they call it, cleansed from the land.
Huh. Okay.
So, but
so
yeah,
she wasn't an angel by any stretch.
Exactly. In 2012 and 2015, her party won the vote to have the leadership.
Mm-hmm.
But they do still have parliament, and because of the way their constitution is written, the military has to be 25% of parliament.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, their constitution says that you need more than a 75% vote on changing the constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So without the military say so, or a portion of the military say so, you can't change their constitution. And that's what they're trying to get away from, is that old constitution that don't let you do it. That way they can be fully democratic.
And that's where the military's ball.
Right. That comes into, they recently had another campaign and vote, and her party won by a landslide. And then you had the opposition saying, oh, it's rigged. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
The election was rigged, so the military has decided to step in and take her out of power. She's been arrested and put in house arrest again for having walkie-talkies. And the military is saying they're going to stay in control for a year, and then they will make it a full democratic thing.
I don't trust these military folks.
Yeah, what happens in a year may change.
Well, yeah, I mean, whoever the commander-in-chief of the military is at that point, the top dog, the top general, I mean, he's basically a dictator right now.
Right.
What if he ends up liking what he's doing, and he's just like, hey, fuck you guys. Yeah, this is working. That's what we're going to do.
And he has been in power for a while as the top military general that he is.
So I know
now,
we
now
just...
not only is he the top military general, now he is controlling the country.
I know we said just last topic that, you know, the U.S. doesn't need to play world police, but is Biden keeping an eye on this? And, you know, because...
Yes, they side with sushi.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I mean, and once again, I'm not saying we need to go over there and fucking let hell rain down, but...
Yeah, right now it's just talk. As the U.S., we have displayed our support for sushi and what she stood for.
I mean, honestly, in my opinion, we should, and I've said this before, close all the military bases, bring all of our military home. Dog eat dog world out there.
Right.
Everybody's wearing milk bone underwear. Right? Just let everybody deal with their own shit. You know?
Yeah. What this amounts to, like Sean is saying, this is a civil war. They need to get it figured out. They don't need us there. They don't need other countries there. They need to figure it out on their own.
You're right. Part of me though, and this may be the, you know, the Republican in me or what have you, but part of me is like, man, I hate to see these people who obviously this isn't their choice to do this. This is this general in the military's choice to say, you know what, fuck y'all. We're going to do what the fuck we want. That don't sit right with me, but I also understand your point as well. Number one, we have to deal with the shit we've already gotten into with Iraq, Afghanistan, et cetera, before we try to move on.
And it also comes down to whether or not there was voter fraud or not there.
That's
because
true too.
You've got one group saying, oh no, there has to be some issue because there's no way you could have won in a landslide like that because your numbers have been dipping. But then whenever they say, okay, let's do a recount, her group says, no, we don't need a recount.
So here's my thing. Do you draw the line at militarized action, or do you say we need to just stay the fuck out of there, period?
Stay out of there.
Is there anything we could do from the executive branch that you would support as far as trying to help these citizens, or do we just need to stay the fuck away from it?
We need to stay away.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, absolutely.
It is not our war to fight. This is a internal conflict in, what is it called now? Burma, Myanmar.
By the way, I was about to say, if you asked me where to point where Myanmar was on a freaking map, I wouldn't be able to point it out.
And I looked at that, and I was trying to remember what two countries it was between.
Okay.
I forgot.
By the way, for those that didn't know, Duck had to run, so that's why he's walked out. He had some prior commitments he had to go take care of. But okay, we've gotten to the final topic of the week, the American Idiot of the Week. So my American Idiot of the Week is Tyrann Matthew.
Hold on. But before we go there, I just want to point out also, Sushi's father is the one that originally made Burma a country.
Really?
So that is another reason that they were really following her. He was the one that originally instated it and was the ruler of it. And somewhere along the lines, the military took control.
Okay.
So they really followed her because of her preaching based on what her father had originally set up. So that plays into it also. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. So my American Idiot of the Week this week is going to be Tyrann Mathieu. In today's culture, I don't believe that there's any reason for you to say, well, he said something and I'm just not going to repeat it.
Brady says he did say it.
He did say what?
Brady
I know he apologized.
Brady sent him a text over Twitter, and he actually used those words. I'm not going to repeat what I said, but I apologize. So obviously Brady said something like "you little bitch" or
well, and I'm fine with that.
Maybe a little N-word, or I mean,
well, see, that's where I draw the line.
Right.
We do not need. I don't think Brady did that. Once again,
Brady said he did.
I explain. No, what I'm saying is he left it open that it was a racial slur. He heavily implied by saying I'm not going to repeat what he said. Heavily implied that it was a racial slur, in my opinion.
Okay.
I don't believe Brady did that. I don't believe Brady used a racial slur. Do I think Brady probably said, "Hey, look, you fucking cocksucker," or something like
Downgraded
that?
him?
Probably. But I don't think, number one, for the fact that none of his teammates in any of the past 3 decades that he's been playing at this point, he's been playing in 3 different decades, holy shit, but have ever come out and said, you know what, fuck that Brady dude, he's a piece of shit human being. May stand corrected later on, but I feel like that was bad of Tyrann to put that out.
6 months ago because I just hated the guy.
But bad of Tyrann to possibly insinuate or leave that open for interpretation. So that is why Tyrann is my idiot of the week. We'll go with Manny. Manny, go ahead.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of the show, mine is Andy Reid. How long are you going to sit there and watch your team fail and fail and fail as while you're at the helm and not change a single thing?
You know, and this just occurred to me while you were saying that. How many times did they even try to run the ball? Like, when they tried to run the ball, they were actually rather successful.
Yeah, there was a couple of runs that looked very successful.
And he just kept... I mean, I realize you've got Pat fucking Mahomes. And yes, he is one of those rare athletes that his middle name is now fucking. But, you know, it's one of those situations. At some point, even the greatest... Tom Brady, for example.
I mean, all you had to do was find the open man and pass it down a couple of times to that open man. Because at the very least, you're going to get 6 to 9 yards, at the least.
Run some damn screenplays for crying out loud and get him off that blitz.
You got to do something. If you can check it down a few times and get a few first downs, they're not going to cover your main wide receivers as much as they were.
I would agree.
So, yes, Andy Reid is my American Idiot of the Week for not changing.
So we got 2 Chiefs. Are we going for a third? Are we going for the clean sweep, Sean?
A hat trick with
I didn't want my American Idiot of the Week to have anything to do with this game or with football, but God damn it. Those fucking Tampa Bay Buck fans fucking celebrating without wearing a goddamn mask.
I did see that.
Goddamn pandemic. You're all gonna fucking die in the next couple of weeks. Every fucking one of you.
There was like 30,000 people there. I thought the NFL was like keeping a stringent look on that shit.
Until we started seeing the crowd, my wife and I were saying the same thing. It was like, wow, are they really letting all those people in? And they were packed up.
Right, and those people didn't give a shit, and this is how zombie apocalypses start, right? I'm not ready for The Walking Dead yet.
Now, here's where I draw the line. A lot of people, when Brady came out for practice before the game, they bashed Brady for not wearing a mask. He's on the fucking football field. He's far away from anybody.
Right.
Y'all need to stop
He shouldn't
that
have been
shit.
wearing it. Dude, he's an athlete and he's actually practicing a sport, which the majority of people don't do. So,
and his team and the opposite team had been, and they're quarantined.
They tested every other day.
I'm not sure how often they're tested. Do y'all know?
Every day. They
It
can't
was every
enter
day?
the facility without a negative test.
I mean, not as often as Mike gets tested for, HIV, but,
So I would definitely have rather been down there on the field with them than up in the stands with who knows.
Right. And Mike would rather have been down on,
Real quick, I did want to ask though, because
My wife actually showed me a sign that said Mike is the streaker.
Oh, good lord.
I said that earlier.
Her idiot of the week was the streaker.
Her idiot of the week was a streaker.
I thought she was saying Mike was the streaker.
I mean, let's be honest though. By the time the streaker happened, it was the most entertaining part of that damn game.
I'm only mad that the streaker wasn't wearing a mask. God damn it!
I think I asked in one of our group chats if he was wearing the matching mask.
No, he wasn't. No, he got tackled. Those poor cops are probably going to get COVID or Hep B or something from the guy.
Pink eye.
Yep, that's how you get pink eye.
Okay, y'all. So I didn't bring this up and I forgot to. Real quick before we get out of here, what y'all think of the pre-game stuff? The national anthem, the America the Beautiful, and the Poet. I enjoyed all three. I thought they all three did a damn good job. I enjoyed Eric Church's. Dude, that sign language guy. Oh my God.
He was getting into it, wasn't
he? He was getting it, man.
What did you think of Miley Cyrus?
I was actually pretty impressed.
Really? Okay.
I was really kind of disturbed that she was trying to rock up on Billy Idol, who's 62.
Well, I didn't get to see all of that. I was just caught bits and clips here and there because I didn't realize it happened, to tell you the truth. But when she did Wrecking Ball and actually broke down crying and was missing parts of the song, as an artist, you can just see the passion that she had for that song. And even saying it's hard to get over, which isn't part of the song. She's just basically telling you this song is real. I mean, I wrote this song and it's some real shit that happened.
Right.
And it's hard to get over.
Well, there's only a few artists out there. We were talking about this the other day on the vinyl show. There's only a few artists out there that really give it their all on every single performance that they do. We were talking about Springsteen and In Excess and different things like that. And with what you just said about that particular song, that falls into that category. You can remember that.
So I do apologize because I didn't get to see the rest of it. That's why I was saying, from what I saw, I give my hat off to her. Who can go up there, kind of like Adele, who can go up there with a song about some true heartbreak and pull it off in front of fans.
Yeah, but if I ever hear rumor has it again in my kitchen, I'm throwing it out the window.
So I'm not gonna knock Miley as an artist because Miley as an artist and Miley as a singer is just completely talented. I think my issue with Miley is, and it goes back to kind of like what we talked about with Gaga Saturday. She is such a talented person, but the histrionics surrounding her, like we talked about with why the hell is his name escaping me? Sean, who did he perform with that we were just talking about?
Who?
Miley. Who did she perform with that we were just talking about?
Billy Idol.
Billy Idol, yes.
No, Billy Idol.
All of that extra shit, I just don't understand. Like, girl, get out there and show that talent.
You also got to look at what she grew up in. I don't know if y'all have heard about the stuff with Disney and the pedophiles that were over there. There's a lot of stories that have come out about people in higher places at Disney that was like really messing with kids there.
Well, that actually, I've not heard that, but that makes a lot of sense when you look at how many Disney child stars end up just fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen.
That's definitely it. As far as everything else, One of my big questions is, do you think they were playing politics with who they got to perform those pregame stuff? You had a black individual involved in the Star Spangled Banner, and they didn't show anybody kneeling. Was that done on purpose?
I don't think the teams were out there for the start. Were they out there for the
Yes.
Star Spangled Banner?
Yes,
I
yes,
know
they
they were
were.
out there for Lift Every Voice.
Yes. So it's like, did the NFL put black people in those positions, singing America the Beautiful, singing the Star Spangled Banner, to keep them standing
It's a good question.
instead of taking that knee?
I think that's a valid question. You look at it, and I gave them credit yesterday, and I think I may have just been talking with Sean, and I said, 6 women coaches and 6 women on the field right now, Super Bowl record. The amount of African Americans holding on the field positions, it's pretty freaking amazing. But I also would have only known that because the NFL was hammering that pretty hard in the pregame.
Right.
So you may be making a point there that maybe the NFL did make a few of these because, like I said, it was another with them fancying that about so much. It was another situation where, if you look at it, Roger Goodell.
No, Roger Goodell is full of shit. All the owners of every team is full of shit until they have Colin Kaepernick come out and kneel in the middle of a goddamn field before the Super Bowl. Nothing they say means shit to me as far as all this fucking, yeah.
And that plays into the halftime show, too. I mean, when was the last time you saw a single artist that's all that performed?
That's true. We actually talked about that. I mean, it happened recently. I think Gaga was probably the last one.
Yeah, Lady Gaga was the last
by herself performed.
Yeah.
But, that's another good point. I brought up on the Vinyl podcast. I was like, and I literally, I didn't go back and research this yet, but I've never seen a rap act headline the Super Bowl.
Why didn't the Beastie Boys or NWA get a Super Bowl play? Come on, fuck the police.
NWA, I could see maybe a little
the
bit of
expletives.
Luke Skywalker, come on, that would have been great, dude. Seriously.
I could see NWA being a problem with the sponsors.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That would have been.
I'll tell you who could have changed it is Tupac.
Before he got shot, yes.
Tupac on his lower down
like I said,
radio friendly tracks.
Yeah. Pre-shot Tupac with Digital Underground, yes, absolutely, 100%. After he got shot,
I'm thinking, what? All Eyes on Me. How many hits came off of that disc album? Okay, and he had a way that he could have made it radio friendly.
Right.
I mean, he could have. Yes, absolutely. Real quick, also, I thought it was a cool moment. What did you think of the Lombardi hologram? I thought that was badass.
I liked it. A lot of people complained about it. They said it was gross or whatever. I
didn't think it was gross. I just thought it was a little over the top.
I liked it. I mean, Lombardi and dude. I mean, honestly, Green Bay is the NFL.
Oh yeah,
when
absolutely.
You think about it, they are the oldest team.
It's the Lombardi Trophy.
When you look at pre-Super Bowl all the way through the Super Bowl, Green Bay's the team. I mean, why we're not all Green Bay fans is kind of weird.
It was cool when he was on the field talking, but when they had him going through the street and
that was
all that was a little over the top in my opinion.
Right. And I mean, I can agree. I thought the hologram was one of the cool parts. Of course, I'm not going to say that he did the worst halftime show ever, but yeah, The Weeknd was pretty bad.
I will. The Weeknd sucked.
Well, I mean, compare The Weeknd to U2. U2 was pretty fucking bad.
You just watched better. I mean, at least I knew most of the song. Of course, I'm old.
You are old.
Yeah.
You are old.
I'm old.
Well, I'm old as well, and I know that I've heard a lot of those songs once I was hearing them.
Right.
Yeah.
I couldn't have told you that The Weeknd sung any of them, but when as they're playing, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that one. I've heard that.
You missed that the other day when we were talking about it. When Michael was like, "Yeah, and The Weeknd's going to be there," and I said something like, "What is it supposed to snow this weekend?"
Yeah, I asked him what he thought about The Weeknd performing, and he was like, "What? What's going on?" And then his wife walks by and says, "Oh, the guy who sings Blinded Light." And he said, "Blinded by the light."
Wake up like a deuce in the middle of the night. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that was probably the highlight of the
In
Vinyl
Super
Podcast.
Bowl. Yeah.
Okay, y'all. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. I still got to eat dinner and shit, so y'all be good. Real quick, I wanted to make an announcement. We actually have merchandise now, so if you guys want to get some shit with our ugly mugs on it or our logo, anything Podcast Network 49, I will actually post the.
When are we gonna sign some paperwork on what kind of royalties we get? Huh?
Sir, you do not get any royalties. You just be happy to be here. The link is cafepress.com/American Idiots to check out our American Idiots merchandise.
Right. Yeah, Cafe Express. We here on Sci-Fi Visions, we've had a store for quite a few years, and we opened that up to Podcast 49. So there's Podcast 49, American Idiots, Clear and Convincing, Black Sheep. I mean, every single one of our podcasts that we do, they're on there now. And yeah, you can do T-shirts, you can do baby clothes, you can do hats, you can do a clock, you can do anything that you can put an image on. So you guys want to support us and you want to show how much you love each and every one of us, boom, there it is. It's on Cafe Express. So share that link and let everybody know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, ladies and don't forget about Honey Bee. Don't forget about Honey Bee, ladies.
Pain relief.
Well, we will see you guys next week. Don't forget tomorrow night we have Clear and Convincing here on Podcast Network 49. And yeah, we'll see you next Monday.
This means that Donald Trump will be the 45th president of the United States.
Don't want to be an American idiot.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not